Hey, what's happening? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and I want to come live to you and talk to you today about how to boost your credit score. So as you come in, I would like for you to tell me where you are hailing from. I know that we always have people that are tuning in from all over the world, and this topic may or may not apply to you directly, but I want to know as you're entering where you are hailing from. And let me just do something really quick as you're coming in. Um, but where are you hailing from? I know we have people in Chicago, we have people in Atlanta and across the pond in the UK, Australia. We've had people in Africa. But where are you dialing in from right now? So put in the chat box where you are hailing from. Just wanted to change the setting real quick. All right, bet. All right. We got a house full. Okay. So, where you hailing from? I want to know where you're hailing from before we get started. Put your name and where you are from in the chat box, and we're going to talk credit. So, I want you to ask me questions. What's up, Terry from Oregon? Maureen from West Bend, Wisconsin. Terry from Oregon. What's up, Shelby from Jonesboro, Arkansas? All right. So, you guys tell me where you're hailing from, and Tawana from DC, what's happening? I just relocated to DC, so I'm actually in your area from Cali, all the way from Cali. Davey D is from Mississippi. What's up, Davey? But let's talk credit because this is such a critical and important topic that a lot of people are afraid of. I have two best-selling books about credit. I have a workbook. It's called Build Credit to Build Wealth, and Keeping Score, what you need to know to make your credit score grow. And it's helped thousands of people increase their score hundreds of points. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to win each book. I'm going to give a couple of people an opportunity to get a copy of each book for free. In fact, I'll sign it. I'll sign a copy and mail it to you personally. But I want to talk to you about credit, how to increase your score. Here's the reason why credit is so critical and so important is because wealthy people when you're building wealth, especially in this country, wealthy people do not use their own money. I don't care if you have a lot of money. I don't care if you have $1 million in the bank. Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, all these people, they do not use their own money. They use OPM, other people's money. And so in order to use other people's money, you have to have good credit. You always want to use leverage. Early on in my business, I grew to build the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California. And early on in my business, I kind of didn't want to utilize my credit to build the business because I want, I call what was called bootstrapping, right? But when you bootstrap, when you're paying for everything yourself, you go a lot slower. So whether it's in business, whether it's personal, it's critical that you have good credit. So let's talk about a few things that you can do quickly to boost your credit score. And I'd like for you to ask me questions right here. And hey, Shelby says she needs help increasing her credit score. DC by way of Oakland. What's up, Leroy? That's what's up. So I want to know what are some questions that you have around credit and how to get your score up. This is what I do, and I love credit. And let me tell you why. When I was growing up, I used to overhear my mom and dad talking about, what they couldn't have or what they couldn't do because they had bad credit. And I didn't know what credit was. I just knew it was ruining our lives. I just knew whatever it was, I wasn't going to have bad credit. And so when I grew up, I was very good steward over my money, paid my bills on time, 800 plus credit score, did all the right things. And very young, at 26, I got my real estate license and I started making a lot of money very fast. I started making $100,000, $200,000, $250,000. But the more money I made, the more money I spent. And all of a sudden I needed all these big things. All of a sudden I needed, I needed a new backyard or, I needed another car. I needed a Mercedes. And I remember telling my dad, Dad, I'm never, I don't care how much money I'm going to get. I'm never going to go and get an expensive car. And what did I do? I get me a brand new Mercedes. And so I just started, like every bill, every $300 bill, oh, it's just another $300. It's another $500. Oh, it's another $1,000, and it just added up and added up and added up. And before long, I'm making $250,000. I'm in my early 30s making $250,000 a year, but my bills are $20,000 per month. So at the end of the day, I have more month than money. And I recall a time where we took our kids to the fair, right? I'm making all this money and I couldn't buy my kids a day pass at the fair. And I'm making to $25,000 a month or $220,000 a month, anywhere between 15 because I was commissioned to $25,000 per month. And something had to give. I mean, what makes me better than somebody who's making $5,000 a month and they're saving half their money and I'm making $20,000 per month and I'm spending all my money. I have more month than money. And so I got into, this ever evolving cycle to where everything just fell apart. The housing market happened, crashed, all these things happened. I foreclosed on some properties. I short sold some properties. The repo man came to the office to get my car. I had to call him. I was like, look, come in about 6 o'clock. That's when everybody's gone. I'm going to have this car out in the parking lot. I had to make arrangements. I'm making $20,000 a year. And my credit, I go from 800 credit score to a 379, 379 credit score. And I had to get back. I had to get my credit back. I had to get my peace back, and had a lot of sleepless nights. So what I did is I became a certified credit expert. I studied and I trained and I just, I was already obsessed with credit, right? Because of, growing up about credit, I wasn't taught about credit, but I just knew it was ruining our lives. And then this happens to me. And so I can't buy a stick of gum on credit at that point. 379 credit score. The lowest you can go is 350. I had a 379. I have not seen too many people with a credit score as low as mine was. And so I had to rebuild. Became a certified credit expert, read everything that I could about credit, did everything I could. Then I started increasing my score. So within a year, I was up to the high sixes within a year, almost 700 credit score, and started helping other people. And then I wrote these books. Now, the premise behind the books, though, you guys, is people tell me to do stuff. So if you got a suggestion, that's a great suggestion for me, I'll do it. Like, if it's a good suggestion, like, I'm not the ideation person. I don't have the best ideas. I just execute. So somebody was like, you should write a book. And I was like, okay. And I wrote a book about credit. I sat down and I wrote pretty much the gist of it. Came home from work early because I used to be the first one and the last one out. So I came home from work at 3 o'clock. That was early for me. And I stayed up, for 12 hours writing the book. And then I finished it over, about a month or 2 months, editing it and adding to it, adding touches to it. And it became a bestseller. Go to Amazon.com, look at the reviews, and it's a great book, easy to read. So this should actually be look at double space. This should be in every school because it's easy enough for a high schooler to take on this information and get the information and utilize it. You could sit down and read it within an hour. I mean, it doesn't have to be some over cumbersome thing that that you don't have that you can't understand, because credit is really, really simple. We just make it difficult. Okay. So I don't know how many people have, the similar situations as me, where you weren't taught about financial literacy, where you weren't taught about credit, where you weren't, you've been, you try to be a good steward, but things happen, circumstances happen. You may have lost your job. You may have gotten a divorce. Things happen where your credit is affected, but there are things to do to get your score back very quickly. And let me tell you, so if we look at the credit pie, right? Your credit, say the credit pie is 100%. It's 100% your credit. And there are different factors, right? Different algorithms and way that your credit pie is looked at. But the biggest thing regarding your credit is your payment history. How are you making your payments? Are you paying on time? That's 35% of your credit pie. How are you making your payments? So if you haven't made payments, you've gone into collections, that hurts, right? 30% of your credit score is your balance, your revolving balance. Okay. So how much you owe on your credit card. That is huge. Let me tell you why that's so huge. Is because it's the quickest way you can go up and the quickest way you can go down. If you could pay your credit card down, you could get 50, 60, 70 points like that by paying your credit card down. Okay. So let's talk about what's up, Von Vito? Let's talk about ways that you can get your credit score up. All right. Ask me questions, but let me give you a few ways, and then I got to get up out of here. Okay. So one way is, again, paying down your credit card. If you don't have a credit card, get a credit card. Credit cards are critically important to your credit score. I talked about the pie. So 35% is your your payment history. 30% is your credit card balance. So people who don't have credit cards, get a credit card. 15% is your age. Okay. How long have you had the credit card, or how long have you had credit, period? If you had it a short period of time, That's 15% of your credit score. So the people who have the 800 credit score, they're typically the ones who have the lengthier credit history. So whatever you do not close an old credit card account. If you've had a credit card account, like when I filed bankruptcy back in 2009, when I had more month than money, Von Vito, I had gotten some credit cards, to what do you call those, secure credit cards, to restart my credit. Well, when I got those secure credit cards, having them now, I hate the credit cards because their fees are stupid, but I'm keeping them because they increase my age. They keep my age 10 years, 12 years, 2009, 14 years, right? So my credit age is very lengthy because of the stupid secure credit card that I had when I first filed bankruptcy. So you want to keep your old credit card. So 15% of your credit pie is your age. 10% are your inquiries. Okay. So check this out. When you're going to people and you say, I don't want you to pull my credit. I want to know what my credit score is, but I don't want you to pull my credit because if you pull my credit, it's going to drop 50 points. That's not true. It'll never drop 50 points by anybody pulling your credit. Okay. 10% of your credit score is our inquiries, credit inquiries. So like me pulling your credit is not going to drop your score 50 points. The reason why your score dropped 50 points, probably from the time somebody else pulled it to when I pulled it, is something happened. You're late on something. Maybe your credit card balances are maxed out or something like that, but it's not going to be because I pulled your credit. It's because something happened to your credit score, credit report. And then 10%, the last 10% is your types of credit. So you want to have a mixed, diverse type of credit. So you want to have credit cards, you want to have car payments, you want to have mortgages, you know what I mean? You want to have all of those things. So all of those things, all of those factors are factors within your credit. All right. So that's how your credit score is measured. Now, of course, depending on what's going on with your score is going to be what it looks like. Or what's going on with the credit is going to be what your score looks like. So I had this lady, she may be watching right now. I ain't gonna say her name, but let me just tell you about her credit score. Her credit report was pretty good. I'm not just into scores, but I'm into the breadth of your credit. So what does that mean? What are all the things? Do you have a mixed use of credit? Do you have credit cards? Do you have all of these things? And there was one client that came to me, and before I look at her score, I'm looking at her credit report, and I'm like, she has a pretty good credit report, but her score is like 400 something. I'm like, what the heck? So I started looking at her credit report, and I see that she has these $200 credit cards, $25 payments. And number one, she's late on these credit cards. 30% of her credit score. She's maxed out on these credit cards. Right? And so when I did a simulator to say, okay, if she wasn't late and if she wasn't maxed out, how much would her score be? It was 300 points. These small credit cards with this $25 a month payment dropped her score 300 points. Had she paid them on time, she would have had 300 more points. Her score would have been in the 700s. So I called her up. I'm like, girlfriend, what happened? Why you didn't pay these little $25 credit cards? Like, what's going on? I swear, this is what she said. I don't know, Constance. I was just out here living my best life. I didn't know that I had, I wasn't really tripping off of paying them on time. I wasn't really thinking about it. So her being out here living her best life, she wasn't even thinking about paying her credit cards on time. So these $25 credit cards dropped her score 300 points. So, there was nothing really we could really do at that point, but start to make good payments, get her balances down, and then that increased her score. But you can ask for a courtesy late removal. I've done that. So for example, let me give you an example. My dad, his sister died, right? He had Bank of America for like super long, like 20 years, 25 years. Old people, they be having, these banks for a long time. So they had Bank of America credit card for like 25, 30 years. And he was late because he had went to his sister's funeral. And I said, Dad, call them and ask for a courtesy late removal. You've been a member for, I don't know how long, you've had this credit card for a long time. So we call them ask them for a courtesy late removal, and they say no. And I was like, Dad, let me call. Right. So I said, we're going to call them on 3-way. If the first person says no, you ask again, you try and try again. So don't let the first person, just stop you from getting the courtesy late removal. Luckily, I didn't have to step in and say anything and curse nobody out. He asked whoever was on the phone, and they went ahead and gave him a courtesy late removal. We didn't even have to. But what he did is he said, hey, my sister passed away. As you see, I've had this account for this amount of time. I've been on time. Can you give me a courtesy late removal? I told him to say that. And when he did say that, they went ahead and removed the late payment from his credit card payment. So you could do that. You could ask for a courtesy late removal from your credit card, and that can boost up your score dozens of points. So that is one thing. The other thing that you could do to boost your scores quickly, and as I'm talking, go ahead and ask me questions because we're going to do a Q&A. Another thing is when people talk about trade lines. Should I buy a trade line? Should I buy a trade line? I hear this a lot. Should I buy a trade line? And so what that means is when you're buying a trade line, you're buying the use of somebody's credit card, right? Somebody who has a good score, a good credit card history, right? Should you buy a trade line? Has anybody ever bought a trade line and have that work for you? If you buy a trade line, yeah, it's going to boost your score. But typically when you buy a trade line, you're only going to be on that trade line for a couple of months. And, maybe by the time you need the credit, it'll be gone. So remember, you only have the trade line for as long as they allow you. You only have the good credit for as long as they allow you to have the trade line. Once the trade line is removed, your credit score is going to go back down. So I wouldn't recommend getting on a trade line unless you get on that trade line. It's going to help your score increase, and then you're going to apply for more credit. It's going to be easier for you to apply for more credit. What I would suggest is if you go ahead and get on somebody that you know, a relative, like authorized user, get on somebody's account as an authorized user. If your mama got good credit, get on her credit card. If your cousin got good credit, your aunt got good credit, ask them if you can get on their credit card. I don't want a copy of the credit card per se. I only want your credit history. Okay. And then you get that, you become an authorized user, you get that score. Here's the thing about that though. I got another client. She might be watching. These are true stories. So I told my client to get on her mama's credit card. She said her mama had good credit. She got on her credit card as an authorized user. So she was like at 580, and I just really want to get her to 640. It's really easy to get you to 640 within 30 days. So I was like, okay, we get on this, get you to 640 credit score real quick. When she came back, she was at 520. I'm like, what happened? She was like, I got on my mama's credit card. And okay, let me look at your mama's credit card. Well, guess what? Her mama was late on the credit card. Her mama was maxed out on the credit card. So just as she would get the mama's good credit, she got the mama's bad credit. And it dropped her credit score. So I had her, just as easy as you can get put on a credit card as an authorized user, you can get taken off as well. So I had her get off her mama credit card, and she had to, get on someone else's. But here's the thing. Here's 3 things that you need to know about authorized users. Number 1, make sure that they're making that payment on time. Muy importante. Okay. Number 2, make sure the balances are low. Okay. So under 30% utilization. And number 3, they should have at least a 2-year history. Okay. Don't get on nobody's new credit card as an authorized user. You want to have the history. Remember, I said 15% of your credit pie is your length or your history. Okay. So get a credit card, reduce your balances, pay on time, authorized user. Another way to increase your credit score quickly is maybe if you don't got the money to pay the down because of utilization. Remember, your utilization. That means if your limit is $1,000, you shouldn't be no more than $300. If you're at $800, maybe you need to increase your limit. So you call your credit card company or you go online and say, I want a limit increase. I don't got the money to pay it down. I can get a limit increase, right? So that you're at $1,000, you maxed out, and you tell them to give you $2,000. Boom. They give you $2,000. Boom. And it increases your score. All right. So I gave you 5 ways to increase your score very quickly. Asking for a courtesy late removal is a great way. Pay for delete. I'll tell you about the pay for delete really quick. If you have a collection. Now, here's the thing about disputing, and this is the reason why you need to buy my books, because when you get into these you can do credit repair if you want to, but you could do it yourself. And why pay somebody for something very simple? Because all they're doing is sending dispute letters. But there's a method to the dispute. You shouldn't just be disputing everything. I call it the spray and pray method. You spray everything, dispute everything, and then you hoping it falls off. Don't do that. So what you want to do, there's a method to the madness. The things that were reporting a long time ago that haven't reported lately, they're not really hurting your score as much as something that they're saying that you're currently late on. So instead of paying a collection, right? So if you pay a collection off, a lot of times it will drop your score. So if you have a collection and you say, okay, well, I want to pay it to zero, never, ever, ever pay a collection to zero unless they agree to remove it. That is a pay for delete. All right. So the pay for delete method, what you do is you when you call the collection agency, you say, listen, if I pay this, will you remove it from my credit report? And sometimes they'll say, yeah, we'll just it'll be zero on your credit report, just as if that's what you're saying. And then so most people are like, okay, cool. Well, that them making the balance zero is not the same as them removing it from your credit report. Be very clear. They will act like it's the same, but it's not. Because what ends up happening is now you have a paid collection. Okay. So it's still a collection. It's just a paid collection. And if you have it hadn't reported in a long time, it's now going to report current. So now it's a current collection. And now you just dropped your score and you just wasted some money. So don't pay it unless they are willing to remove it from your credit report. All right. And don't, and if you're working with a lender and you need to get approved, don't pay it anyway. Like I don't never recommend people paying stuff on their own because a lot of times we can negotiate certain things if you're trying to get approved for a loan. So don't do your quote unquote credit repair before you call somebody. And if you're looking to get a loan, listen, me and my team are still in business to give loans. And if you need any consultation on your credit, just DM me and I will put you with somebody on my team who can definitely help get your credit together, get you together so that we can get you a loan. I don't care what state that you're in. Okay. But I want to get to your questions because I know y'all got some questions and then I got to get out of here because I got to bounce. Oh my God, so many people on here. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And I'm on like 9 different streams. So how many credit cards is too much or too little? That's a great question. Maurice, don't have too many credit cards. I think the biggest thing is length. Like, so don't keep getting brand new credit cards. Because what happens is when you apply for new credit cards, it lessens your length, your history, right? So say you have, 2 credit cards that are 10 plus years old and you have 6 credit cards that are less than 2 years old. Well, your history is not going to be 10 years old. They're going to average it out. So your history is like 4 years old. And so that also affects your credit score, right? Because you want to have that history. 3, 5 credit cards are good. But here's the thing about credit cards. All right. All credit cards aren't created equal. I would say get a secure credit card if you need to reestablish your credit. Other than that, you want to get credit cards that offer rewards. This is muy importante. So I have a titanium credit card from American Express, no limit soldier. And then I have I have a I have a credit card for American Express credit card, right? For my miles. So I use these things to get things for free. So me having points, my rewards points from my American Express, it could pay my American Express. I got this from my girl, Nicole Parker. I remember she was saying, they were sitting down talking. This is like 10 years ago. And we were at a bar at a conference and it was like, man, my American Express, I use it so much. I could pay my whole vacations with my American Express points. And I'm like, what? She was like, yeah. And she was like, I wish I could pay my lease with my American Express. Because if I could pay everything with my American Express and just pay it off, I mean, the rewards that I get are crazy. And I was like, so I went and got me American Express. That's when I got my American Express. But so when you're getting credit cards, like get credit cards that benefit you in some way. Don't just get a credit card just to have a credit card. Get credit cards where you're going to get some kind of rewards, where it'll pay your bills, it can pay your groceries, you get airline miles if you like to travel, all of those things. And there's actually, oh, my phone is upstairs. There's actually an app that you can go to that tells you about the rewards points for each credit card. And I've forgotten. So later on, when I finish this broadcast, I'm going to go there. All right. So let's see. Good morning, Damon. Miss Constance, how accurate, if at all, is Credit Karma when giving? Oh, thank you. How accurate, if at all, is Credit Karma when giving you your credit score? My fave. So Credit Karma is absolutely not accurate at all. I love Credit Karma because it is such a great platform that it tells you, listen, I swear by Credit Karma. This bookkeeping score, I'm all up in Credit Karma's business. I love Credit Karma, but not for the credit scoring model. They use Vantage credit scoring. And guess what? Nobody uses Vantage. We call them FACO scores, not FICO scores. So if you want to get an accurate credit score, come to me. Go to mortgage broker, go to myfico.com, and you can get an accurate credit score. I think my FICO is like $59 or something like that. But Credit Karma is not accurate. But please, by all means, use Credit Karma because it gives you an idea of what's going on with your credit. Like if it's going up or it's going down, you can kind of get an idea. But a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, I got an 800 credit score. And then I'll look at their crowd, pull their credit, and it's like 6. And I'm like, Credit Karma, huh? And they're like, yeah. So Credit Karma is not accurate at all. All right. What's up, Dennis Spraggins, my man Von Vito? I need to get this book for my 9-year-old son. We literally just had this conversation yesterday. Terry, keeping score, what you need to know to make your credit score grow, and build credit to build wealth is the workbook. The thing I like about the workbook is it gives you homework, and it's actually keeping score on steroids. And I have an online training program. If you're more of an audio visual learner, I have an online training program as well. All right. Joy said, what can I do to jumpstart my credit to go into positive? Credit cards, 30% of your credit score, credit cards. All right. Make sure you're paying them on time. Make sure you're reducing your balance. That's one of the first things I do is I look at the credit card balances. And if they're high, I'll tell you to pay them down. Period. Let's see what else. I'm searching for business credit in my, and I have a couple of trainings. I have the credit repair masterclass, which also has a business credit section. And I have the business blueprint training on mywealthroadmap.com. I want you to go there and I tell you all about not only business credit, roadmap.com. This the business blueprint training. I not only tell you about business credit, but I tell you how to get funding, right, for your business. And I also teach you how to pay yourself a salary with a very limited amount of funds. It's a game changer. Game changer. All right. So go to mywealthroadmap.com. So I shouldn't dispute my credit before I get a credit card. Shouldn't I dispute my credit before I get a credit card? Depends on what's on your credit report. So get a credit card. If you can get a credit card, get a credit card. The other thing I like about Credit Karma is it tells you which companies are most likely to approve you for a credit card. So look at Credit Karma, see what their recommendations are. Okay, doesn't mean that they're going to. They'll tell you what percentage, based upon the breadth of your credit, what percentage chance you have of getting approved for this credit card. All right. What's considered a good length of age? As long as possible, Beverly. So 10 years is great. If you have a overall length of 10 years, you killing, especially especially with good credit cards too. I deal with a lot of pastors, right? And so a pastor had 850 credit score, perfect credit, and then he closed one of his old credit cards because he was like, the interest rate was too high and I wasn't really using it. And I was like, no. And it immediately reduced his credit age dramatically, and it dropped his score because he was so high. So here's the rule of thumb also: the higher your credit score is, the more it's impacted when things happen. So if you have a 500 credit score and you're late, it's another thing that's late. You might lose a couple points. But if you have an 800 credit score and something dramatically happens, you're going to lose. You may lose hundreds of points. So 10 years is a great age. 5 years. You just don't want anything under like 2. Like that's really, really super new. What about a high interest card that you don't use? Hey, listen, Facebook user, I hate high interest. My Applied Bank, I hate that ish. I got that as soon as I filed bankruptcy. It's stupid. It's $200. Like I don't want it, but I'm keeping it because of the age. So what you can do is you can call and negotiate the interest, and that is something that you absolutely can do. You've been making the payments. Call and say, hey, I want to reduce my interest rate, and your credit card company may do it. Say, I'm getting ready to close my credit card because I'm not using it and my interest rate is too high. And a lot of times they'll do that. So that's also something that you could do is negotiate your interest rate down. Is it true that a deep pull can drop it? I don't know what a deep pull is, but if you're talking about a hard inquiry or hard pull, again, inquiries are only 10% of your credit pie, of your credit score. So like, it's not going to be like super a credit inquiry or a hard credit pull is not going to hurt you that bad. Terry said, should a person pay their mortgage with a credit card and then pay it off immediately every month? Only if you have a credit card that has rewards, okay? Like your American Express. Now, if you don't got no rewards, then you're just going to be paying interest for no reason, right? But if you have a card that has rewards, like I said, my girl to go, she was like, I wish I could pay my lease, but I can't. So if you could do that and you could pay it off immediately and you're going to get those points for that, for you doing that, not a bad idea. That's the kind of leverage that I'm talking about, right? And then all the points that you have, you might be able to use that to pay off your credit card as you're building your points. Play the game. All right. Linus, hey, thank you. You like the red? I did a little something a little different, matches my lips. New year, new me. Yes, and monthly subscriptions like Netflix. Okay, let's talk about monthly subscriptions. Listen, I talk about all of this stuff in my wealth map training. Oh my God. That's also on mywealthroadmap.com. I help people increase their credit score, reduce the fat, cut the fat with their budget. I help you. What else I help you do? Oh, multiple revenue streams, multiple ideas around multiple revenue streams, how to use your intellectual property to build wealth. And you go on my website, mywealthroadmap.com, take the training, and I go deeper into it. But I talk about all of these things in that training. And I've helped people increase their net worth 233%. You're like, how in the hell did you do that? Because a lot of y'all, your net worth is like negative 10,000. So if we can get you to zero, you positive, right? No, but literally, how do we cut the fat? How do we cut all these things out? Not only to save money, but to start investing our money, because one of the things that you absolutely do not want, is if another disaster strikes the land. Ecclesiastic said 11, I think, says have 7. Then it said no, 8 revenue streams in case a disaster strikes the land. What happened in 2020? Can somebody tell me? A disaster has stricken the land. And a lot of us weren't prepared. A lot of us didn't have the resources, lost our jobs, lost our minds, lost a lot of things. And so, but then a lot of the people came up and they made a lot of money. Now they don't know what to do with it, or they weren't able to sustain it. So you have to figure out, you can't depend on your job. You can't depend on the government. That $1,200, how far did that get you that the government gave you? So you have to figure out, what are some things I can do? Maybe there's some passive income streams that I can get, or maybe there's other ways that I can gain money where I don't even have to work, but I can have my money make money. And that's kind of how I'm living right now. I just got my money, my investments are making money for me. And so that's what you have to figure out how to do. So go to mywealthroadmap.com and mywealthroadmap.com. I'm trying to look for the link that I put in here, and go to the wealth map training. Yep. All right. So let me go back. Thank y'all about the hair. I try to do something different. Actually, my sister told me to do my hair. I'm looking for the questions. My sister told me to put this in my hair because my daughter had this color. Now my daughter's like, you know what, Mom? So my daughter said, like, I really feel like, what did she say? I really feel like I'm the what did she said, I really feel like I'm the standard. I'm like, why? She said, because everything I do, you do. Whatever. Anyway, you're not the standard, little girl. Your mama's a standard. So shouldn't I dispute my credit card? No, I already did that. What's considered a good length age? Is that a deep pool? Should a person pay their mortgage? This is very helpful, Queen. Thank you, Christina. I recently canceled my secured card that helped me get my score because of the annual fee. Had it for 5 years. Should I have kept it? Yes, Von Vito. Yes, sweetheart, you should have kept it. I have a client that has old credit, like foreclosure collections. Where should I start with them? Depending on if it's still aging, you could dispute it. So if it's currently current, then you can dispute it and see what happens and then go from there. But really reestablishing those credit cards is really going to be critical. What you have to do to overcome bad credit is really establish good credit. Okay. Because some things won't come off. Like some things you're just going to have to wait the 7 years or the 5 years or whatever the statute of limitations is for them to report it. But the thing is, like, if that's already on there, let's start working on that good credit. We don't want to do anything illegal. I mean, sometimes when you dispute things, they could drop some things off, but make sure you're not disputing something that's getting ready to fall off. Then they start reporting it current. So how do we get a hold of you about your credit repair? mywealthroadmap.com. There we go. mywealthroadmap.com. I have a credit repair masterclass. It is, like I said, some people, it's an online training. Some people are more auditory or visual. Some people want to read a book. Some people, everybody learns differently. So I made sure that I had all methods for you to be able to get the information that you need. And thank you, Von Vito. Amazon.com. Great information. Is revolving more important than installments? Ooh, Beverly, that's good. Okay. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go meet my homie. Okay. Let me tell you this before I go. Yes. Okay. Let me tell you why. Let me give you an example. These are real life examples. I had a husband and wife. Their credit scores were almost identical. He had like a collection and a credit card. She had he had 2 collections and a credit card. She had 1 collection and a car payment. So her car payment was an installment debt. His was a revolving debt. So he has 2 collections and a credit card. She has 1 collection and an installment, a car payment. Guess whose score was higher? Guess. Guess. Based upon the information I told you about the credit pie, whose score was higher? He had 2 collections and a credit card. She had 1 collection and a installment and a car payment. Now remember, collections are bad, but what's better? Whose credit was higher? Yes, his, because your revolving debt weighs higher than your installment. Credit cards are king. When I tell you credit cards are the crux, the core, everything of credit, that's what it is. So yes, his credit score was higher because he had a revolving debt to counter the 2 bad collections. She just had an installment debt. So if anything, get a credit card, pay it down, pay it off, use it, don't abuse it. Now, also, here's another trick too. Paying your credit card to 0 can sometimes drop your score. Bet you didn't know that, huh? So in this business that I'm in, we have credit simulators that tell you exactly what will happen if you do certain things. This is how we know that, whatever. So when we use a simulator, sometimes paying the stuff to 0, a lot of times, most of the time paying to 0 actually drops the credit score. And so we rarely tell people to pay their credit. We do exactly what we tell you to do, but we rarely tell you to pay it to 0 because utilization is the key. They want you to be using your credit cards. 0 is not utilization. And so it could actually drop your score. So paying to 0. So, but the only time you want to pay it to 0, like there's some credit cards you just want to, you don't want to be bothered with them because you don't want to pay the interest. If you're not looking to get new credit, don't worry about it because you don't need to stimulate your score. But if you're trying to get a house, get a car, and you want to stimulate your score, keep a small balance on your credit cards. Remember, use them, don't abuse them. Always use your credit cards, just don't abuse them. All right. What else? Barbara, I'm so sorry. I am an extremely fast talker. So this will be up. So make sure that you just rewind it and listen to it. I talk really fast. Plus, I got to go. I'm supposed to be leaving here like right now. So I apologize for talking really fast. Can you explain charge-offs? Should I pay to delete? You can pay to delete. But here's the thing. When qualifying for a home loan, we don't even include charge-offs in your debt to income ratio. If it's been charged off, that means it's been charged off. That means that collection agency wrote it off. So if you're going to apply for the loan, an FHA loan, we're not even looking at your charge-offs. So don't just go paying stuff off just to be paying stuff off. Talk to a mortgage broker before you do that or somebody who could help you out with that. Thank you, Vaughn. Is business credit better than personal credit? No, not necessarily. It depends on what you need it for. Business credit ain't no good for you if you ain't got no business, right? If you have a business, having personal credit is still going to be important. Why? Because sometimes you're going to need to be a personal guarantor for your business. That's the quickest way that you can grow your business credit, right? So you can grow your business credit slowly. It'll take you about a year, maybe 2 years to build your business credit. But if you have good personal credit, you can have business credit within 30 days. You can go get a business credit card within 30 days if you're a personal guarantor and your business and your personal credit is good. So business credit is only good if you're using it for business, right? Got to have a business in order to use the business credit. You're always going to need your personal credit. Always, no matter what. So don't F up your personal credit and be like, you know what, I just get business credit and I'll use that. That's not how that works. In order to use business credit, you want to buy a house or something like that, you have to have tax returns. There's more to it. I know there's a lot of gurus out here talking about, all the things that you could do, but there's still steps in order to get there. And so, a lot of people have these get rich quick scheme types of things. There's ways to use leverage in order to get there, but there's a proper way to do it. And you want to do it the proper way. Okay. Thank you, Veronica. You're the best. Do cards you don't use and go dormant hurt? Yes. So, like I said, use them, don't abuse them. All right. So don't just, because what will happen is, and this happened to me, it jacked me up. I had a credit card because I couldn't find it. Like I had forget what it's called. But I didn't use it. They closed it. So I think but they warned me. They did send me some mail and say, look, if you don't use this credit card, we're going to close it. And I didn't pay attention to it. And it was one of those old credit cards that I had. So, yes, not using it will hurt your score. Use them, if you need to use them every 3-4 months or whatever. If you're not doing anything, if you don't need it to stimulate your credit score, using it sparingly is fine. Right. And I know the big thing is we don't want to be paying all this money in interest. Oh, take my wealth map training because there's some stuff in there that's going to blow your mind about interest. I don't know who this is. Long time. What's the best way to promote you to my audience? Share me to your audience. And that's how you're going to win a book. Okay. I'm so glad that I tuned in today. Hi, Constance Carter and chat. Hi. I'm so glad you said that, Kim. I use Rocket Money, and actually I talk about it in my the wealth map training. So that's really good. One more. How much would a bankruptcy finally falling off help your credit score? Ooh, that actually, okay. So here's the thing about the bankruptcy, right? The further you go from the date of bankruptcy, the less it hurts, right? So say your bankruptcy is new, and then all of a sudden you were able to dispute and you were able to get it off somehow because people were able to do that. It's going to increase your score hundreds of points possibly because it's hurting your score so much because it's so new. But 10 years dropping off every year that you get from the bankruptcy is already not really affecting your score as much. So by the time you get there, it's going to, your score is going to go up. It'll go up, but you're not going to see like hundreds of points because the hundreds of points kind of happened over time as you've gotten away from the bankruptcy, right? Does that make sense? So that's what it is. It's going to definitely help. Like you don't want the bankruptcy on there. Listen, when mine came off in 2019, it was the best thing that happened for my credit. Because I got back in the 800s, but I was almost already there anyways. And then it just kind of put me over the edge. All right. COVID did cause a panic to the non-wealthy, and that's the reason why you want to have multiple revenue streams. Can I ever get from under late payments from years ago? Absolutely. They can only report them late for 7 years. So if they're still reporting them after 7 years, there's a problem. They should not be reporting them. That is against the law. In this book, I talk about the statute of limitations. This is a great book. The Build Credit to Build Wealth workbook is a great book because, again, it's this book on steroids and it has homework and everything. Thank you, mywealthroadmap.com. You're the best. I work at McDonald's and do DoorDash side hustle. I really want to make more streams of income, pick up my training. I got all kinds of stuff on there. What happens when accounts are current, but the creditor closes it due to inactivity? It'll drop your score. Yeah. So if these are credit cards, use your credit cards. If they're just old accounts, at some point, they're not going to report them anymore, because if they're closed. So say you paid off an old card, it's not going to report forever, right? It's only going to report for 7 years. And then after that, it's gone. Dana said, so if something has been on the credit 5 to 7 years, should we dispute it? Forgive me if you've already answered. If it's not reporting current. So in my book, Keeping Score, I talk about how to see if a credit is being reported currently or not. And you can look at that on any credit report. So if it's 5 to 7 years old, but they're still saying, it's still saying on there, last updated is February of 2023, that means it's reporting currently, even if it's 5 to 7 years old. So disputing it won't hurt. But if it's 5 to 7 years old and it hasn't reported for 5 to 7 years, and then you dispute it, and then they're like, there's Dana. Yes, this is accurate. Now we're going to start reporting it as current, and that's going to drop your credit score. So there's a method to the madness. But all the information is in the credit book. All right. I got to get out of here. Can you send me the info on the credit stimulator? It's in our credit reporting. It's with our credit reporting company. So it's not like free to the public. When I look at my credits is 721. When the mortgage company pulled, the same company showed 670. How do I get a true score? It's more than likely. So 721 is probably your Credit Karma, right? And 670 is the FICO that the mortgage company pulled. And so the mortgage company is going to have your FICO score. And I talked about the difference between FICO and Vantage. Credit Karma is a FICO credit score, and mortgage is a FICO credit score. I do provide real estate investment consulting. Go to mywealthroadmap.com. If you don't use the whole amount, will they lower the amount? Will they lower your credit? Possibly. So they won't lower it because you haven't used the whole credit card. They'll lower it if there's some things happening with your credit, right? So say like you're not late, or maybe you're maxing out all your credit cards, and that they do a soft pull and they see like, something's going on with Constance. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to make sure where she's at $1,000 and her limit was at $2,000, we're going to limit her to $1,000 to make sure she don't go above that, because it looks like she's having some problems. And when they lower your limit, it's going to negatively impact your credit score. Hope that helps. How can medical bills under $500 affect your credit score? Because they're collections, but by law, and I have it in my book, they have to remove them once you pay them. Okay. So medical collections should not be staying on your credit report, especially if you paid them. What's up, Coach Fard? Is it 850 the highest credit score? Will you get better interest rate with 800 credit score? 800 credit score is good. Shoot, anything above 740, 750, you Gucci. So yeah, 850 is awesome. Of course, the higher your credit score is, the better your credit's going to be. The better your rate's going to be. But I mean, at 700, 720, 740, you good. So I got to meet my homeboy. Credit score received from your bank accurate? Probably not if it's not a FICO score. They typically will use a Vantage credit scoring method too. And you are awesomely awesome too. So do me a favor. Share this on as many platforms as you can. I'm about to go to a meeting, and I will give a signed copy of one of each. So you guys share this on as many platforms as you can. And the person who shares it with the most platforms, DM me. Like if you shared it like 10 different platforms, DM me and let me know everybody you shared it with. And then I'm going to sign a copy and I'm going to mail it myself. All right. So I'm going to give it to 2 lucky people, the people who shares this to as many platforms as possible. You will get a free copy of my book. All right. And if you share it with more than like 30 platforms, something like that, maybe I'll give you if you share it over 30, I'm going to give you my online training. I'm going to give you access to my online training, I think, which is $497. I'll give it to you for free. All right. I got to get out of here. Love you. Go to My Wealth Roadmap. I'm so not prepared. Go to mywealthroadmap.com because I have so much information on my program. I'm going to put this on here. I have so much information on all the programs that I have. I have a wealth map training, which I help you increase your net worth. Let's get this money. I got the business blueprint training that's going to help you get your business credit together, get your business together, and get you funding. And I have the credit repair masterclass. Again, if you don't want to get the book, if you want to log onto the credit repair masterclass, then sign up for that as well. All of those things are for you, y'all. They're for you. So DM me and let me know all the places that you've shared this to, and I'm going to send you a free copy, one of each. A free copy of these books. And then if you share it to over 30 people, everybody that shares it to over 30 platforms, I'm gonna give you access to I'll give you I'll give you access to my credit repair masterclass. All right. Love you. Take care and God bless. Vaughn, I got you. Vaughn, I got you. I'm out of here. Peace. Oh, shoot.